Okay, I think he's going to be making his way over here. We usually get 2 questions. Remember, keep your questions coming on Twitter at ET Canada. So sometimes if we catch them in the nick of time, we can pose them to the celebrities. We're listening out there. Twitter at ET Canada. Ben, nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, Global News.
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
I used to actually live in the residence you shot Good Will Hunting in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In fact, it's funny because I was just driving by and pointing out to people, hey, we shot Good Will Hunting over there.
Well, you have been here so many times. Does it kind of feel like homegrown territory?
I've done some movies in Canada that, were fine. And the ones I've done in Toronto, I love. We did Hollywoodland here, Good Will Hunting here, brought the town here, and now bringing Argo here is 4 of my favorite experiences. So it's really cool to come back to Toronto.
Can I ask you something? They're finally doing an Asian summit this year because they realize the sheer number of eyeballs in China, as well as all the financing that's available in that part of the world. As a director, how important is that for you in terms of appeasing? I mean, a lot of financing. Movies stop halfway sometimes because there's no money.
Well, it's interesting. China is the most important market in so many different ways, and it's becoming so in movies. The problem is that the Chinese put a cap on the number of foreign movies that they're willing to admit because they don't want their market to become oversaturated with other movies, and they want to keep that revenue for themselves. So it's hard to get in that queue. I'd love to see them remove that so that, like on other markets, if you had a movie and you wanted to show it, the marketplace would dictate whether you were successful or not. But there's no question that when you have 1.3 billion, which is 1 billion more people than there are in the United States, it's an incredibly important marketplace, and one that I really look forward to showing a movie someday.
We're living in an industry where people are watching things on the internet, pay-per-view. They are building 2 cinemas a day in China right now. That's how much they love Hollywood.
China's growth is staggering. A lot of the world is really struggling, but the Chinese are right at that sweet spot where they're building their infrastructure and it's paying real dividends, and they're elevating all these people out of poverty who are now in a middle class who can afford to do things like go to the movies, which generates money that then gets put back into the economy. So it's a really exciting time, and I think a lot of people want to be part of the Chinese economy, and Hollywood is definitely right up there, and the Chinese just opened up and allowed for more Western films to come in, and so I think at a certain point there'll be more of a demand for them, and because the internet is open and Chinese audience can see, hey, we're only getting 15 of the 30 movies we want to see, I think they'll get more.
Would you contemplate? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Oh, well, we tried to sneak in another question over there, but you can tell how intelligent he is. He really does listen and answers the questions. And as a filmmaker, a lot of people, even Oscar winners, half of their movies, many times their movies stop halfway through filming because they run out of financing. It doesn't really matter who you are. And here's a part of the world we hear where there is tons of money and they just want to know where to park it, especially given the state of the economy worldwide right now. Real estate isn't doing very well either. So they're looking at venues that will be money makers, and obviously this gentleman is one to take seriously. People eat it up all over the world, and I wanted to ask him if he'd be willing to film over there. This year's opening night film, Looper, was actually a co-production with China, and many of the films there, many of the scenes there of the future were actually Shanghai transformed. So they're very willing to get these guys on board, and an interesting conversation with Ben Affleck, like in a way we haven't necessarily seen before.